Ooh, don't stop it. Keep it
I
going.
love that jam. Can't get enough of it. I can't get enough.
I know, man.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Michael Bluestein. What's up, man?
Bruce Watson. Man,
Yeah.
here we are. Is it Groundhog Day for you? I don't know. There's a little bit of that.
Bit. The only thing that's changing, I'm noticing, is like it's definitely, we're still starting to these events at the same hour, but it's like staying lighter later. You know, I kind of want to get into this vibe when it's dark, but that's just not what we're doing right. It's still kind of light outside.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you are maintaining a very nightclub burlesque vibe
Totally,
there, I have to
totally.
say.
I think-
You know,
yeah.
you
I
got
think
the
more like
candles glowing, some really nice smoldering going over the brother
Got some
Vox.
female impersonators coming in right after we finish with this.
Yeah, nice tall trannies, hopefully about 6'5" or 6'6" in heels.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, our special guest list has been strong, and
It
we're
has
not going
been.
to disappoint in this. We have a special guest coming tonight. We're going to chat for a minute first, but we have a really great guest about to appear. But should we just get the beer thing out of the way real quick?
I'm really excited to talk about what I've
Okay.
got going on here
Hit it.
tonight. Yeah, so Bruce, I think we've talked about this guy before.
We have.
It's a Trumer Pilsner, and
Yeah.
and are you familiar with it? You've had him?
Only that I've seen the label. I can't
Yeah.
remember what.
Okay,
What it was.
so this is a wonderful thing. Speaking of California, Northern California, brewed in Berkeley. Okay, it's a classic Pilsner recipe that this family keeps alive. A 400-year-old Pilsner recipe from a brewery in Salzburg, Austria, that they're
Aye.
still using 400
Man.
years later, and it's like, you know, passed on through the family, and they're keeping it alive and well in Berkeley, California, and it is a really nice Pilsner, I have to say. Very consistent, really good. So cheers to that. Yeah.
And you're already on your way with that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have a couple. Again, Northern California has been strong on our list of beer loves, and this is getting insane. I tried a couple of these the other day, so this is once again. I'm not getting paid for or sponsored by Russian River Brewing, but I'm just so like, man, what they're doing is so outrageous. So this is wow. This is a barrel aged ale, which was aged in Chardonnay barrels.
Oh.
And
Nice.
I had one last night that was aged in Cabernet barrels, and it turns out it's with farmhouse yeast, and they also put yeast in the bottles. After they bottle it, they put fresh active yeast in there, so it continues to ferment while it's in the bottle. And I expected it to be sort of like that big, you know, thick, heavy, winey sort of tasting, but these are it's like a sour beer almost.
Yeah.
Which you and I know we've been slower to get on board with, but.
So it is a
This
sour.
It is a sour beer. It's lightly sour, but man, it's just exquisite is the word that comes to mind.
What's the name of it?
It's called this one. They have ones that are aged in Chardonnay barrels, Cabernet barrels, Pinot barrels. I could make some kind of joke there. This is called Temptation,
Temptation.
aged in
Nice.
Chardonnay barrels.
Wow, beautiful.
And it comes with a nice little delicious cork. So that's gonna be cracked.
Oh man.
Maybe I'll wait till our super hot special guest comes on to toast him as he rolls in.
Illustrious rock royalty is soon to be rolling in
Indeed.
on a bedazzled red carpet.
Yeah.
It's not enough
You know-
that he gets a red carpet. It's a bedazzled red carpet.
Yes, but he's not afraid of a little vanity.
No, he's not.
So I don't know, man. I mean, we can carry on like this with him, right?
I think so. I yes.
Would you mind? So I mean, would you mind if I took the forefront of introducing this next guest?
I would love it if you did, please.
Okay, this next guest, we've toured together. Our bands have, and we've hit it off musically and personally. We're friends, and the thing is, to be our friend, you have to want to yuck it up. And this guy likes to yuck it up. This guy is funny. Okay, I mean, in his guitar playing and his songwriting is I'm sure you'll know how brilliant it is. But Michael, help me
Yes.
in introducing and welcoming to our V.I.B. Joel Hoekstra.
Woo!
He's
Yeah.
in.
Come on in, man. There he is.
Yeah.
Boom.
What's up, dudes?
Hey, Joel.
Hey, Joel.
All
Good to
right,
see you,
man.
man.
Thank
Good
you
to
for
see
inviting me.
Yeah.
So
From
happy
New
you're
York
here.
City in
So happy
Manhattan.
you're here.
Absolutely.
Yes. What part
What's
of
the
Manhattan?
Well, you want me to give my address?
Well, how about a 3-block radius?
I'm Upper West Side.
Upper West Side. Nice.
Yeah.
Right on. All right.
That's
It's
cool,
nice.
man.
It's nice up there. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's
it's very
good. Good walking.
If you're gonna
Yeah.
live in Manhattan, it's good. It's very residential, but still great restaurants and
Oh yeah.
still has that New York vibe. We're right off of Riverside Park, so
Wonderful.
and not far from Central Park. So if you want to do that scene, it's readily available. So.
Yes.
What are the streets like? Are they rather vacant?
I don't know because I really haven't been going out on the streets. My only thing is a kind of venture into the park. I have to just for sanity. We don't have yards here the way you California folk have. You lucky guys. You're still able to see the sun and get some vitamin D and actually like keep your immune system going by stepping onto your lawn. And so kind of important here that I get out a little bit. So I just do that, just stay the heck away from people basically.
Yeah.
But I just make sure I get out a little bit every day. Try and get out for about like 40 minutes or something, just so when this is over. That's sort of a doctor recommendation, actually. They're saying like everybody needs to get some fresh air and sun, otherwise everybody's going to get sick the second we all step back outside at the end of this.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm trying to do my very best to follow all the guidelines and be cool, but at the same time, there's needs to be a little bit for sanity, man. Otherwise, I'm absolutely going to lose it.
No, I mean, I was gonna say like emotionally. I mean, yes, the physical stuff, like you said, immunity, keeping your immunity fresh, but like just we need the sunlight. Getting them, seeing the trees and.
I think
walking in some
the
grass.
immunity is a huge thing, but definitely, I think just the vitamin D and staying sane. Just seeing some other people, even if they're not far away, is healthy too. I find, hey, there's somebody walking over there. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, Matt, we were supposed to be in the UK together, our bands. Who doesn't know that Joel plays guitar with Whitesnake? If you don't know that, I don't know where you been. But we were going to be in the UK. We had 5 or 6 shows. Our Foreigner and
I mean, come on, dudes. I was excited about that.
I know.
I love you guys, and always so happy to see you guys doing what you're doing. I just love you guys. You guys are just the greatest sounding band in the scene that we all collectively play in, and you guys just sound amazing and are such great musicians and great guys. So, I was really looking forward to that. So it's a serious bummer.
Well, we have to. It's got to get made up. It just has to happen. And I'm sure we'll make that happen. So
but isn't it interesting though that I'm sorry, Michael.
No, go ahead, please.
The delay makes me just jump on it. That for those again who don't know, Joel played in Foreigner for not an insignificant amount of time.
That's right.
What was your take on that? What was the deal when you played with Foreigner, Joel?
It was a hot minute.
Yeah.
So the way that happened, we had just done Jones Beach, and then Phil Carson called me. Phil manages Foreigner, for those that don't know. And Phil and I had gotten to know each other through Rock of Ages because he also manages Dee Snider, and Dee was in the show. So Phil was around quite a bit. And I guess because he had heard me play a couple bits of Foreigner songs in that show, maybe I came to mind. But I was in Night Ranger at the time. The bill was Night Ranger, Foreigner, Journey. And Mick got sick. And although I didn't quite, there wasn't a lot of clarity from Phil on that when he called. He just said, I might need to get you to start working on our set. And it was very, very just sort of like maybe
tonight.
It wasn't even that. It was like I might need you to do this. So back then, I was still having a really good time, like you guys are tonight. And I remember hanging out like very, very late with a friend of mine here in New York City because I just played Jones Beach here in my hometown. And so I think I probably rolled in 3 a.m. or something. I woke up the next day, and Phil had told me to call Jeff Pilson. And so I called Jeff, but it really wasn't until it must have been a good like 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I called Jeff, because I woke up late, called him, and I said, yeah, Phil called. He said he kind of maybe wants me to start learning the set. And Jeff said, oh, you haven't heard? You're on tomorrow. And I was like, no, wait, wait a minute, no, wait, you're kidding, right? And he was like, no, because I was supposed to play Rock of Ages that night even. And then my deal was to fly down to Virginia Beach day of show to rejoin the tour. I was just going to, as long as we were home, play Rock of Ages, which was still running that night. And so Tom Gimbel got me a board tape. I was like, I need a board tape immediately, like
Yes.
I immediately. I just so I panicked, and so it was like really like about a 24-hour period, a little bit over, but that included the actual like I needed to sleep and I needed to fly down to Virginia Beach.
Oh man.
And so it was like it was a very challenging 24 hours and a lot of pressure in the moment. It was very fun to go through, but it's very super stressful. I mean, I remember having some of the Foreigner songs don't follow the standard A B C
Yes.
form.
Yes.
Form.
Right.
So there were certain songs like head games and things like that
Sure.
it's like you got to go like, oh dude, wait a minute, this is when that happens. Okay,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
okay, so otherwise, like, you know, the solo, if you miss that, that's huge,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it-
yeah.
Feels like the first time has that little sort of bridge
Yeah.
interlude thing that happens after the second verse going into the chorus, right? What an odd place for it, but like the little things like that, you know.
I remember that was, as far as cheat sheets go, I had that written for myself, and I thought I'm going to figure out a way to get that to happen. And then Chris Leperage, who still works for Mick, right? Still teching
Yes.
for Mick, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we just had him on as a guest.
Chris coincidentally had teched me during TSO. We drew up like the form of the song, like literally, like it was a good solid 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and the hugest black marker. And then we thought, okay, they're still blowing around these giant cardboard
man.
sheets, so we Velcroed them together. And so, as a song would end on that first show, you'd see Chris come out and peel off a giant Velcro sheet and go walking. I mean, it was hilarious. Just to,
Wow.
but we made it through, and actually, I have a recording of that first show, and
Wow.
it actually went
No,
pretty well, man. I mean, there might have been like a tiny thing or two, but honestly, for doing it in that short amount of time, I guess I was a lot like younger and quicker back then in terms of learning. And nowadays, I think it'd be awful. Like, you couldn't do that to me. But
well,
I mean,
man,
it was a great honor. And then I think that carried on for something, 9-10 shows or something. And then they got you, Bruce, and I was, glad to make a new friend and kind of, at the time, a little heartbroken to kind of go, like, to not be doing it. But at the same time, it was kind of unrealistic. I was also playing with Night Ranger. And so it was just, but very happy it's worked out for you. You're such a great dude and such a great fit for the band. And I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done what you're doing right now. So it's all been great. And I've had a good run on my end in terms of doing different things and working. So I don't hate you. I love you.
I'll say.
I want to hear that. I want to document that in public. I want that
Yeah,
to be clear.
I have to interject regarding the cram session that you did, and how you got that together so fast. And I just have to say, not blowing smoke or anything, I was so impressed by that. Like, I just remember thinking, if I were in that situation, how would I even come close to remembering all the parts, the keyboard parts, and like everything? I mean, just thinking about what you had to do in a day, just like the smoke was coming out of my ears, just processing that. Because that's never been I wouldn't say my strong point, learning that much information and retaining it that quickly. It's just, that's never been my forte. So I remember thinking, wow, this guy's like playing the show almost flawlessly. And like after 24, how is that even possible? So anyway, dude.
It
kudos.
was almost worse
Kudos.
playing it for Pilsen in the hotel room, like before the gig, because that was like the real, like it was like I didn't even have the day of show yet to process it.
Oh my God.
I think the decision was being made, like, are we actually going to play?
Right.
Like, so Jeff was like about a foot from my hand watching me play, going like, and
Oh, that sounds like Jeff.
yeah. And I mean, Jeff, he's a total perfectionist. So it's like, I mean, I love him. God love him, man. But he was like scaring me to death, He's like, flipping my guitar and I'm playing it going like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Anyway, fun memory for me for sure. Just something I'm still like, I'll just always count as like just a great memory in my career for sure. And what an honor to fill in for somebody like Mick Jones, a musical legend, and I'm just like some dude, so it's fantastic,
Yeah, and I remember after when, you didn't end up being the permanent guy, I remember thinking, yeah, I think he's doing okay though, because, between like bouncing between TSO and Rock of Ages, and, Night Ranger, And then like, wasn't Cher in the mix at that point too
The
somewhat or no?
last, I kind of went from juggling, it was Night Ranger, Rock of Ages, TSO, and then for a bit it was just Whitesnake TSO, and then it became Cher Whitesnake TSO
Right.
for like the last few years. That's sort of been 2017 through 19 really was those three.
Those three, yep.
So yeah, no, I mean, dude, I was out 285 days last year out of the on tour. So it's
Wow.
yeah, I've been in my own way very very busy. I mean, you guys work your asses off too in Foreigner. So it's we're all of us are probably really feeling it right now because we're so
Yeah.
used to being out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, and it's a polar opposite. I mean, I wonder, people ask that, like, what is that like, right? It's like you're so used to being gone and gone and gone, and like in your case, that was even, I think you were out, more than we were, but like that extreme of like just being gone all the time and then suddenly home, like, how are you handling that? And Bruce and I have discussed this, that we're kind of loving it. We're loving the exploring all these things that we haven't been able to explore, being in the home studio more, getting to kind of revisit all these projects. And that's a good segue because I heard a rumor that you're working on some of your own music now, right?
Yeah, I have a side project that makes me have to refer to myself in the third person because it's called Joel Hoekstra's 13 is the band project name. And then I had an album out in 2015 called Dying to Live under that moniker. And now I'm going to put the follow-up out. So I'm just working on the leads really every night. And so I'm with my two small kids here every day in the apartment. So I'm kind of like that all day until they go to bed right about now. And then right about now becomes music time. And I get about four hours a night or something like that to work on music. So yeah, just hitting the album as heavily as I can. And doing things like this to stay sane and stay relevant. Is that even a thing? Am I relevant? I don't know if I am or not.
Yes.
Are you singing, or is this your lead vocals on all of it?
No, my friend Russell Allen is doing the leads on this one so far, and Jeff Scott Soto is kind of chiming in as like super bionic background vocalist, which is really amazing. So Vinny Appice on drums and Tony Franklin on bass and Derek Sherinian on keys.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Very cool.
Wow. Well, so you're going for that kind of loose thing in the tracks, right?
In a way, Vinny does kind of play that way to a degree. That's what's so cool about him. He'll do stuff that a session drummer would never do in a million years. He comes from a totally different place, that like old school rock vibe where there will be like the roundhouse triplet fill going down the toms in the middle of a chorus, which like no one would ever
Who
do.
has the balls to do that?
That's kind of refreshing, huh?
Yeah, Vinny Appice does. That's what's so cool.
man.
That's what's so cool about it. So you end up with these kind of different results that. So even if you write a song that maybe if everybody sort of played it the way a session player would, it would come out too polished.
Yeah.
You end up with this really awesome rock feel to it because he's playing. So especially him and Tony together have a real thing. I mean, Tony's just got, I think, just the right amount of grease on bass too, man. It's like both of those guys definitely bring some of that where maybe I would be the guy to do 9 million I guess tracks and all the correct parts and harmony wise, and so those guys make me sound rockin'.
I love it. That's
Wow.
cool. So the tracking's all done. And where are you in the process?
Very close with getting the tracking done. So yeah, the mix process is about to happen there, and I don't have a release date, but I mean I'm gonna be ready to submit it soon. So we'll see what Frontiers comes up with for that, and everybody can look forward to that probably later this year, I would think. And
Exciting, man.
Yeah,
exciting.
And I have a little surprise coming for everybody too that I've been working on with another little project, just something else that's going to pop up here pretty soon. So I'm excited about that too.
It's a good time right now for content, right? While everyone's trapped at home, when people can't go to see live shows, I'm finding that the fans are they're hungry for this stuff. They want to hear what we're doing creatively. They want to hear new ideas, new tunes, post it, get it out there. It's a really good time for that.
Yeah, I think if we're in the situation we're in, you want to do the best you can with the hand you're dealt, right? So it's for me, it's always comes down to the same it's always been, just trying to be productive every day, I've been teaching a little bit on some of the days, doing Skype lessons here and there, which is actually fun for a change. I wouldn't want to like get back to when I was doing like 3 or 4. Or I used to teach 70 students a week. So nowadays I'll usually just book one a day, and I'll just
Right.
teach that one lesson. And then I find I actually really have a good time doing it if it's only one, because I can approach that person like feeling like, yeah, I really want to actually teach you and help. And it's not just like, oh, feeling like
Yeah.
a job.
Trying to
that
make a
could-
living. Yeah, right.
That could be a burnout, of course.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of digging on that, and I took, what I was on my back burner forever that I got done is I had at my mom's place cassettes of me all the way back to my first band when I was 15 years old, like in the studio. So I had all these cassettes of my old bands, and I recorded so many songs on my 4-track. You guys remember the 4-tracks back in
Oh,
the day?
hell yeah.
And
man.
so I've like a million songs. That was like
Wow.
all I used to do, and so I finally digitized all that stuff, which was kind of amazing to drop it in and like listen to it and maybe just do a little quick mastering on it, EQ and compress it a little bit and
Yeah.
get it to sound a little better. But
Wow.
it was I sometimes, as they say in Spinal Tap, a little bit too much perspective. There were definitely some moments I wonder why people didn't intervene and say, dude, you really need to set that thing down and go like, sell cars or
Go
something.
play some ball.
Something.
Wow.
But it's also really fun to hear the development, and you really can almost track it. It's like as I went, it's not that my chops got better per se, but it was like you could really just hear the musical maturity get better as the years or the dates went by.
And there's no way to get there other than to just do it, right? To go through that process. You don't,
Just
you gotta
always, you just have to play. That's I know it's such a bonehead line, but I always say to people when they're, what would you tell the kids if they want to be a guitar player? Like, well, you have to play guitar to be a guitar player.
Yeah.
That's,
All the time.
All the time.
Which
Yeah.
also I was thinking about this. I wanted to mention this anyway. But once you were playing when you were playing with Foreigner and I came in thereafter, we had overlap and we still continued the tour. And you were with Night Ranger and I got to try to get it together to play Foreigner as well as you did. But I remember, why is Joel so damn good on guitar? Well, I mean, from the second he got to the gig, he was walking around in a basketball jersey, Chicago Bulls probably. And he had his guitar on.
Still repping.
There it is.
Oh, Joe, can you do something for me? Can you put that up on your shoulder like this with that?
Yeah, like
Can you
this.
put Michael Jordan up like this? So you put your hand behind it. Put your hand
Turn your
behind
hand
the.
around, man.
Put my hand
know what-
behind
Put your
it.
hand, there,
That's it.
Yeah, like that. See?
Okay.
Put it right on your shoulder.
It's not that
Just
easy,
like-
is it?
Just
Not
like
that easy.
Oh, I see.
there
There
you
you
go.
go, that's it.
Look at that.
Okay, man.
Michael never
That
looked
looks
so
good.
good. Oh yeah.
But anyway, I mean, if everybody thinks that Joel got this way just by natural talent, there's that going on too. But I mean, the absolute incessant practicing it's just like the dedication. I mean,
You can tell Bruce really enjoyed it. Incessant. He used as a
Well,
disguise. There's that guy. There's that guy.
That
playing.
is that is the wrong.
At least
Well,
he didn't
because
say
you're mocking.
relentless.
Yeah,
he didn't
yeah.
say relentless.
Yeah. Relentless
almost-
sonic siege from
Yes.
the hallways of the venues.
Assault.
No, every
Hey,
moment
man,
that
you guys are always jamming too. I really enjoyed all the getting to hear you guys do all the jams that you do in the dressing room. The last time we toured, when we toured in 2018, I think it was,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
You guys,
We were doing that. Yeah, that became a thing in 18, and we had a little backstage.
That was
thing.
really cool to hear you guys.
really
doing
fun,
that.
when you're playing, just to break it up, and you're playing a lot of the same
Of course,
tunes.
we're,
and
we're,
just,
we're all kind of going out and playing the same songs in our set roughly every night. So
gives you some spontaneity. Yeah,
definitely, man. There's no question, and you think you need that to keep yourself sane. Sometimes working gigs where the set doesn't change for periods of time.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But
Just
just
my
that,
greatest fear to think that to go out and even though, I mean, you're playing classic riffs of classic songs, both bands, and it would be such a drag to think that you'd phone it in even once. And so, but in order to make those things that you're playing repetitively every night seem like as you're playing it for the first time, no pun intended. I mean, to jam backstage and to keep your ears and your heart, flowing so that you can play those
Open.
repetitive things
Yes.
and feel them every time. Because if you don't feel it every time, I'm sorry, I can tell if you're not feeling it.
I think it's just it's fun on both ends because I know that the gigs that I've had where I've played the material over and over, it's really fun to get super proficient at it and so far inside it, And I'm sure at this stage of the game, Bruce, you're probably like that with playing the guitar with the Foreigner set, where it's like if you change type of pick, that would be like a huge
Yeah.
deal for the night.
Yeah.
It would be like
Yes.
this
No, it's true.
big deal. And yet there's also times where you in your life were thrown on stage for a one-off at a gig where there's feedback and all these rough edges and bad audio, and somehow it comes off and it's a fun gig, and somehow
Yes, you're right.
there's good music played. So I think it's kind of each end of it can be beautiful. It's just a matter of, I guess, always appreciating that, right? And
Yeah.
it got really, some of the gigs I've done, like the Broadway gig you guys mentioned, Rock of Ages, that was 8 shows a week. So doing that for 6 years, and I think I probably played, I wasn't there all the time, of course, but I think I probably played 17 or 1800 shows of that.
Wow.
So by the time you're, playing it for the 1800th time, there's no question you're Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. And so but you find ways within those moments to still like appreciate, change something. Like I thought, it's like back then it would be, we used to joke, the drummer and I used to joke on that gig. It's like getting to the point where we felt like if we changed like what shoes we wore, that we'd end up in the hospital. Because things would go you're in such a groove that things would go so drastically wrong for changing one little thing.
Right. Yeah.
I have
That's
a question.
the danger.
I have a question for you about the Rock of Ages thing. So obviously that whole thing is charted out, right? Or no? There's a book for everything.
Yeah, there is. When you start a show like that, when I started it off Broadway, they were still writing the music, and they tend to not want to spend a lot of time rehearsing a band for that. So it put us in a tough spot because we were on stage. So when we started it off Broadway, we actually were up there with music stands and books, which was totally lame because it was as far as I was concerned, you're on stage and you should always be performing when you're on stage, not looking at a chart. So we just sort of all made it a collective effort, like, well, hey, let's get off of these books like as soon as we can. But it was hard because you'd come in and they would have a rewrite on it because it was all stuff that needed to match up with dialogue and singing. And
I was curious about that and the early time of that, like how quickly you were able to get off of the. But I imagine you weren't reading probably after what, a few weeks or a few.
Well, if it's like
months.
a Foreigner gig after the first night.
Gosh, how can I put it? I mean, as soon as they were done tweaking the show, we were off of the books because you got it down, and they kept throwing a new wrinkle at you every time you'd come in. There'd be a new chart up there for a song because they would change it, and
So you
then
just had to.
I thought it was definitely a thing though. Like, hey, let's get rid of that. Or there would be you would just have the chart for the new one up there. Like, all right, I got all that other stuff together, so now it's just going to be the chart for the new one that I need.
Just have that one,
But it was so lame having a music stand up there at first. I hated it. It just totally blew the vibe.
Yeah.
But that's how they operate in that world,
How's your sight reading? Do you sight read pretty well?
Awful right now, man. I mean, like I've gone through phases where I've gotten pretty good. The only music reading I'm doing right now is helping my son with his piano lessons every night. That's it. I mean, that's really it. So right now I'm working on my album. There's always some kind of musical mission, and really nothing in my life calls for it right now. So, but the path to Rock of Ages was definitely through reading, like subbing for my friend out here who does like traditional pit gigs and learning the whole like 300 pages of music and doing the whole like read. And during those periods, I was like in a pretty good groove where I was like, okay, I can definitely read down like a chord chart and I can play over changes out of the real book if I have to and stuff like that. And I went to college for classical for a couple of years. So, I mean, my reading kind of got to that level, like second year college, basically.
Sure. Which is pretty damn good. Yeah.
For a rock guitar player, probably considered good, but in the real world, like kind of awful. Like, I mean, if you took like a classical musician or jazz musician, they'd probably be like, dude, this guy can't read at all. So, but I mean, I definitely understand a whole lot. My dad was a theory professor, so I understand a whole lot about theory, and that helps me piece together a lot with reading. And like I said, I did actually go to school for music. I did my 2 years of college, and then I went to GIT, which that honestly kind of turned into me just playing 8 hours a day doing my own thing. In reality. I had already taken from private instructors who'd kind of showed me the curriculum, and I just went out and it was a great experience for me going to Hollywood, and MI was great. It was a great experience because there was so much freedom. but it wasn't really like about like sitting in a classroom and all that stuff for me. It was a whole lot about like just playing my guitar a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, is there any acoustic on your new stuff?
Just really as there's going to be one remix that is an acoustic thing as like a bonus track, but really the acoustic is all just kind of I get supportive. Thanks for the correct term. Yeah, just kind of stuff that's in there.
Because that was another layer of like seeing you play as a sort of an outsider, and then when we start touring together, and you're incessant practicing. No, but then one day you're walking around with an acoustic guitar. Before I'd heard you really play an acoustic, and it was like this gorgeous open tuning, and like, I mean, that's just a whole other thing. Your touch is just, it's really, really lovely. It's just, it just speaks to what a well-rounded, great player you are.
I think that kind of, I spent a lot of time playing classical guitar from, I'd say maybe junior year of high school all the way through that second year in college. There was even like, I would say like most people during that couple of years of college, I mean, the electric was actually kind of in the background more. I was actually playing primarily classical, just like I'm sure, Michael, you went to school for jazz, correct?
I was a jazz piano, more of a jazz guy at Berklee
So,
College of Music.
during that
I had a
time-
classical background, grew
Yeah.
up playing classical, but yeah.
So during that time, you kind of end up playing almost more jazz than you would rock per se.
Way more. I was
Yeah,
really into it.
yeah.
I really got the bug when I was at Berklee, and then after, for a while, yeah.
Yeah, me too, I would say, but never the full bug, to quote the Van Halen title, I guess. No pun intended, right? But I would just, I would say maybe 75% of the time I was playing classical, and then I would pick up the electric and just work on shredding, I guess.
It's funny. You guys are totally different players, and you've had a different career arc and everything. But do you know Greg Saran?
I don't think so.
Oh, anyway, B-52s. Don
Now Greg
Felder.
Saran hates me. Greg Saran,
It was the classical thing. It was the
okay.
he very similar. Has a strong classical background, but has made a real career. And he's doing the American Idol now. He's made a real career out of rock guitar and touring and everything too, like you have. It's interesting because I don't know too many rock guys that have spent that classical time. I don't know, there's probably more than I don't know about, but that reminds me, I know that he was really seriously into that for a while too.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I went that route instead of jazz at the time. I as a kid, I had the Aebersold books and stuff like that, and I used to do all that play along, and I play pretty awful jazz, but I can make it through all the changes on stuff. Like my thing was always, what was hard for me with the jazz stuff, all the standards, was committing all the harmonic framework to memory. Now we're getting into serious muso talk here. This is going to bore people, right? But it was very difficult for me to memorize all the chord progressions and melodies out of those because I just didn't spend enough time doing it. But it's like the harmonic framework was always so complicated in those songs. It would be like compared to a rock song, 4-chord song or whatever.
It looks like it didn't get in your way as far as getting gigs and having a career.
As far as rocking.
That's why I tell people, I'm like, I think at the end of the day, with so many people that have actually achieved guitar stardom that never really learned to read music, or some haven't learned theory beyond the pentatonic scale, or some that you can always become a great player. I think at the end of the day, the one thing that really is always common is the time spent with it. So it's like you can have knowledge in a certain niche, if you say it like that.
If you will.
If you want to go there. But I think it's just the main thing is just spending the time with it, putting in the time and having a passion for it that kind of carries you through the hard times, which I'm sure we all went through, of watching all of our friends kind of get normal jobs and your parents looking at you like, how come you're not normal?
Oh man, you got that right. You got that right.
What did I do wrong? Yeah.
But you just said it right there though, and it can't be underemphasized, or it just the idea about time with your instrument, and everybody that that looks up from the outside and has dreams about playing some guitar or playing some piano or whatever, or singing. It's like there isn't any magic bullet. Like you're this. I don't think any of us are. We may have an innate talent somewhat for music, but I would say most of my success is due to hard work and practicing a lot, spending time on the
man.
instrument. It's the it's the time, it's the hours, it's the, and it's the love of it that just kept me going back, trying to learn more, trying to correct the mistakes I was making, or get comfortable in different keys. And it was just year after year, just keeping at it, not giving up. That's really what it was at, where it comes down
And
to.
there's so many reasons to give up along the way,
Sure.
in terms of like
man.
the beat down is so strong. The day jobs. I mean, I had some really dreadful day jobs.
Oh, I had some too.
Oh yeah.
Man,
Definitely.
So grateful to just do music,
That's why I applaud you, gentlemen, and I tell you guys how happy I am that you guys are doing what you're doing, man.
Yes.
You guys are both solid dudes. You guys are great dudes, and you're amazing musicians and such a great band together. And so I'm always happy to see you guys doing so well.
Yeah.
Thanks,
May
man.
we all continue to circulate around one another.
Yes.
Okay, well, listen, before we go, I mean, Michael, I've noticed for some reason we chose the same attire today. It's like, I remember going to Catholic school, we used to wear uniforms, and it's like we're wearing uniforms, man.
I feel like I joined Devo and I don't fit in.
Bruce Watson.
Listen, Joel, you're going to have one of these shirts. That's going to happen.
Okay.
In
All
a
right.
couple of days, you'll be receiving one of these shirts.
Every guest gets one.
Yeah. And it's going to change your life either for the better or the worse. Don't know. But listen, will you do a favor and say, I could do it myself, but I'd rather tell you to do it. Would you say hello to Michael Devon for us?
That you just broke up when you said that. What'd you say?
Please say hello to Michael Devon for us.
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, who else? I mean, like all the guys in Whitesnake are the coolest. And
Yeah.
we really enjoy touring.
We always have a group thread going. David doesn't like to let us drift too far, so we've always got a band text
Love
thread
it.
going, and we hear from David every day, and so it's always nice to be in touch with the guys. And yeah, I mean, this particular lineup now, we've been together a while. We know each other, and it's an eclectic mix of guys. You have the veteran like Tommy Aldridge going all the way to guys like Michele Lupi from Italy, and just so happy to be there. And Whitesnake is his favorite band ever. And so
I
just
know.
got this-
What a trip talking to him about that. That was so cool. I was like, man, that's
his
such
dream
a
gig.
great gig for him.
He wouldn't want to play with any other band over Whitesnake. He just he loves Whitesnake. So it's just a lot of fun to have him as a bandmate, because he's just so like eternally positive about every single situation that's happening. And so they're all great dudes, man. I love all the guys in the lineup, and hopefully we can get back to playing.
Yeah, we would say the
Snakes.
same thing about our band. Let's get our two love fests to tour again together.
Yeah.
No, I want to hear you guys jamming next door.
Yeah,
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I know it will.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Joel Hoekstra.
Thank
Yes.
you guys.
Cheers, Joel.
It was great to catch up, regardless
Let's do
of
it
the fact
again.
that if people are going to watch this, that's like a side note.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Perfect.
We're just hanging. They can watch us hang out.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, so good to see you, man.
So
And
fun.
I can't wait
Great-
to hear your
great chat.
music.
Yes. Stay tuned for Joel Hoekstra with 13. What was the project again?
Joel Hoekstra's 13.
Joel Hoekstra's 13. Yes.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Thank you so much.